none of them are fat. Like almost none of them. In fact, most of it, or a lot of them, are in phenomenal shape. And so the question always pops up, like, how are these girls and guys able to stay in such good shape and never get fat despite eating, massive amounts of bad food? And on top of that, like, you'll sit there and look like, man, if I even look at a carb, I get fat, which, as we've discussed, like, that's not how body fat works, right? But here's the thing. I actually was interested. I knew the answer myself intuitively because this is what I've been doing for 15 years, but not competitive eating, but, fat loss coaching and strength coaching. But I was curious to see, or hear from them. And so I researched a bunch of videos and stuff and interviews and things. And what do you know? Guess what? Surprise, surprise. They're in a calorie deficit. They're in a calorie deficit. They work out consistently, and that's about it. Like this, a lot of them talked about the weekly average, right? And here's another crazy thing. Just like any species of animal, right? Like, let's say you got a German Shepherd. They have a natural range of height and weight that they fall under. You're not going to have a German Shepherd that weighs 200 pounds. Like, that's just not normal. A healthy German Shepherd is going to be between, whatever it is, like 60 or 70 and, 100 pounds. Now, if the animal starts getting above that range, then it's because of body fat, right? And so the human animal is the same. The human animal has a pretty narrow range of the size that we come in. I know to us it can seem like, such a huge wide range, but in general, vast majority of people are between, 5 foot and 6 foot. Like, chances are, if you're watching this, you're between 5 foot and 6 foot. And so the healthy natural weight for that animal is also going to be pretty narrow. I would say probably between 100 to 150 pounds for women, and maybe 150. I would say probably like 140 to 180 for men. So when men become, and I'm saying generally, and even if you push that boundary a little bit, say up to 200, most men are not going to be 200 pounds if they're lean. It's just not going to happen. So when you start to consider it, the reason I brought up that is when you go back and you look at the calorie ranges, right? The calorie ranges for almost all the competitive eaters that I was looking at on a daily basis, they all fell somewhere between 1,500 and I think the highest one I saw was like 2,400 or something. Now, again, the calorie amount is based on your size. So if you're bigger, you need more calories. If you're smaller, you need less calories. And so the interesting thing that all the competitive eaters were looking at, they weren't looking at just daily calories. They were looking at what is their weekly calorie intake, right? And what is the weekly average that they need to be at. I'm just 2,000 calories. Well, if I'm a competitive eater and they allow all of them, they're like, you don't see the rest of the day or the rest of the week. You just see the one YouTube video where I ate 10,000 calories in whatever 5 minutes or whatever ridiculous thing. It's like, but you don't see that the rest of the week I'm eating a ton of fruits and vegetables, tons of vegetables. I'm eating, lots of lean protein, and it's very low calorie, high protein stuff, right? And so again, it just goes back to, it's just about a calorie deficit and being able to do it in a peaceful and enjoyable way. A person who has 2,000 calories, a competitive eater, they might go, okay, I know I'm doing a food challenge on Thursday to record. And they'll go, okay, so this food challenge is gonna be, let's say, 5,000 calories. Now, out of their week, which they have 14,000 calories, you take out 5,000, that leaves 9,000 calories, 9,000 calories to spread out over the course of the other 6 days, right? So do the math, whatever that comes out to, and thus you can have these giant food challenges and not gain any weight, okay? And now we're not even talking about any physical activity here, because that also will contribute to a little bit more, calories. You can eat a little bit more calories. Steps is usually going to be the best way, and then obviously if you're lifting weights and building muscle over time, you also will need a little bit more calories. But that's the thing, man. Like, that's why I always say, guys, like, don't try to come to conclusions based off of, experts and this and that. Try to ask questions and observe people who are actually doing the stuff. So to me, what better person to learn about nutrition from than competitive eaters? Because it is, if they want to do this at the high level, they can't get fat. And one of them was actually explaining why that, you will not find as many competitive eaters who are overweight, is because the visceral fat, or the fat that is around the under the muscle, that fat actually makes it harder for this to stretch. So, which would make sense. So, but you learn from the people who are very good at the thing that you want to get good at. And I'm not saying like, oh, we want to be all competitive eaters, but what I am saying is, if they're able to eat 10,000 calories in a sitting and not get fat, then what do they know that I don't know? And then we go from there. And then it just points you back to like, oh shit, like it is, who would have thought? It is calorie deficit. And now it just becomes like, how do we do a calorie deficit while still having it be enjoyable, convenient, and peaceful and relaxed? So it's not like, and part of that is the decision that like, I want to find a peaceful way. Because if you don't have that decision, then you're not going to find a peaceful way. If you don't look for a peaceful way, you're not going to find a peaceful way, an enjoyable way. So anyways, I'm here at the gym. We are going to start coaching. Any questions, concerns, comments, let me know.